So hello everybody. I was at a conference, Agile in the City, Bristol, last autumn, giving a workshop on solutions-focused coaching for psychological safety. Very important topic within the world of Agile, in the world of software development, after Google published some research that showed that psychological safety is far and away the most important factor that distinguishes low-performing teams and high-performing teams. The workshop went down extremely well. I was talking to someone afterwards, and he was really, really delighted by what had happened, really pleased with it. I loved your workshop, he said, but I have to tell my developers to stop focusing on solutions and focus on the problem instead. Because he's a really conscientious Scrum Master, Agile coach, and he knows how to get the best from his team. So what was going on? How come he loved solutions focus, but he spends so much of his energy stopping people focusing on solutions? He was incredibly puzzled. I was moderately puzzled. I've heard this before, so I sort of knew what was going on. That's puzzle number one to do with what this talk is about. Solutions focus doesn't mean focusing on solutions. That was a realization. It's such a relief, everybody, to hear Mark chortle and say, great. Because actually, I got some advice recently from another Mark, a guy called Mark Delgado, who runs a number of runs the organization that runs that conference I was just referring to. He said, put something controversial in every slide. I'm not sure I've managed that, but I think I may have got something controversial in the title here. So, who I am. Most of you in the room kind of know this already. Hi everybody watching online. Maybe this is more for you. So, I have a tech background. I first started earning my living at the age of 15 at Southwest University's Regional Computer Centre in Bath. I went to Cambridge, did a degree in Maths and Computer Science. I've been employed by HP and BT. All this was while I was a teenager. I've got a life since, yeah? I've consulted for all these people. Part of that process of getting a life involved me becoming solutions focused. So grateful to Mark and Jenny coming to my flat in Bristol in 1992 to the NLP practice group and introducing solutions focus. Sort of slipping it into the NLP world and tempting a number of us out into a really good place. And along the way, I've worked with lots of big clients. Yeah? Quick biog. So recently, so this is all in the last 18 months, I've led workshops in the fantastic Agile community. So much resonance with this solutions-focused community. I really felt immediately at home there. So, you know, I submitted, I think, I went to one conference paying. Ever since, I've been going, because I've submitted workshops, they've loved to have solutions-focused workshops there. All of these different places. Different meetups as well. Just starting to get a flow of corporate clients, training, coaching, especially coaching with leaders in these organizations. And it's going down well. Yeah? Awesome workshop. Highlight of the conference for me. Best meetups I've ever been to. A couple of months later, my confidence and self-esteem have never been higher. So, Jenny was asking earlier, does it work? Yeah. I think we all know that. And I'm finding, yes, it does work within the Agile software community. And surprising to us, it's really good to get that evidence. See it's clicking. And yet, there's this puzzle, the puzzle I mentioned. Another example, and this one kind of hurt a bit more, submitting to Lean Agile Scotland, which a lot of people say is like the premier Agile conference in the UK, and got pushed back because a solutions-focused approach feels at odds with a community of needs. The language solutions focus isn't quite resonating there. The first thing I saw on Twitter when I got off the plane arriving at this conference was this: solutions first and implementation focused is last century's way, and it's the way of pain. So when we use just those words, solutions focused, in this community, this is what they're hearing. Solution first, implementation focused. So starting to explore, what is the client's language? What are people in the world of software development hearing when we use the word solutions focus? In fact, it's not just software development, it's product design. So this is the clearest way I've had of understanding that puzzle. They talk about the problem space and the solution space. The problem space is basically, I would call it the customer space, yeah? It's the customer problem, need, or benefit that the product should address. The solution space is the product, yeah? So here we've got an example that the problem space is, hey, I'm in space. Sorry, this word space is being overloaded here, you get the idea. I'm on a spaceship and I need to write. There are different ways you can solve that problem. Famously, NASA invested $1 million creating the space pen, and the Russians used a pencil. The really interesting thing about this from the point of view of this talk is that the benefit for the customer is in the problem space in this world. Yeah? So I've entered a world in which problem means what's wanted. But of course we live in a world where what's wanted we call the solution. And we've been talking about it for years of how confusing that is, even within our community. So here's another version of this thing. I was on a Slack channel with a very enthusiastic new participant in the world of solutions focus, also an Agilist. And he was kind of almost evangelizing about solutions focus, saying, remember, solutions are not goals. Now, I'm absolutely with him that it's not goals, but this was my question. What do you mean by solutions? He was using this word, and I sort of went, hang on a minute. And this is how I ended up with the title of this talk and giving it. It's like, hang on a minute. We call ourselves solutions focused, but we don't actually, so the word solutions, other than in the title of our profession, isn't part of our language. It's not part of our grammar. If I'm wrong, I would love to be corrected, but I can't find solutions within our grammar of what we do. The name Solutions Focus arose for very, very good reason. So, this is my attempt at a very quick history. Lots of people in this room were there, so I apologise. All mistakes have been introduced by me. So we started off, therapy started off, not we. Brief therapy arose. People like John Weekland, Jay Haley, Paul Václavic, MRI. Brief therapy came along, was a big step forward from therapy. Solution-focused brief therapy came along, Steve and Insu. Yeah? Then we get solutions-focused brief, lots of stuff. Yeah, that's the space we're inhabiting here, especially the coaching change, OD facilitation, add your own profession. So these words made sense when the word therapy was here. Perhaps they make slightly less sense in this context. So I'm not going to go down the route of we need to change the name because, as Jenny was just saying, there is a brand. The brand exists. But let's at least ask the question, if solutions focus doesn't mean focusing on solutions, what do we focus on? I'll tell you a story. This is Niklas, you are my favourite client, and I hope you're watching this video. Niklas is the chief exec of an organisation called High Five. It's a boutique IT consultancy based in the north of Sweden, a lovely place called Umeå on the Baltic Sea. And Niklas, many of you know him from this community. He was dragged to a Seoul conference like this one, and people are smiling. Within 10 minutes, his plan to hang out at the back and not be noticed had been thwarted, and his expertise was being drawn in despite having no previous knowledge of SF. Anyway, he has taken High Five on a solutions-focused journey. That's a wonderful journey. This is just one little example, one story from this. Many of you will have heard it before. So there was a problem. The problem was a secret problem because there was some, within their server room, within their cloud, there was a security risk. It had never been breached, it probably never would, but if it was, the consequences would be quite serious. So every team meeting, they would try and work out what to do. And of course, they started off by trying to find out what the problem was, which makes sense in the world of hardware, computers. You find out what the problem is, you change it around, you either swap out the component or you fix it, and all is good. This is what you do with servers. This is what you do with computer software. You debug it, you fix it. So they were doing this for 2 years, yeah? Meeting after meeting after meeting. They were debating what the problem was. They were debating what the nature of this thing was, what was causing this issue. After some solutions-focused training, Niklas started asking a different question. He asked the question, suppose we took a clean sheet of paper and designed a solution from scratch that was the best of the best. So he jumped over the problem with a suppose question into, use your own language, the desired future, the future perfect, the preferred future, whatever it was. So remember, they'd been here, banging their heads against this thing for 2 years. He asked this one question. Within 5 minutes, they had agreed on what this would look like. Yeah? So as one of my other favourite clients puts it, people tend to diverge around what's wrong, but converge around what's wanted. Not as a rule, but as a tendency. So then, let's continue with the story. So there was agreement about what was wanted. What's worked before? There was someone in that meeting who wouldn't normally be in a meeting about the security in the server room, who happened to know about one little piece of technology that could help. Put that into place. Within 2 weeks, they'd gone from 3.5 on the scale to 6.5 on the scale in terms of confidence in their security. Within 2 months, they'd got a solution that was fully rigorous, they're completely happy with. I emailed Niklas on the journey here, and he says they are now ISO 27,000,005 whatever, ISO certified in security to the highest standard. Yeah, so they have really, really nailed this one. They're also one of the few organisations. They were the first ones in Sweden to be ISO certified in 5 different things. Forgive me, I'm not familiar with the world of ISO certification. Anyway, they are world leaders in achieving these standards. I think that's what we can take from this, yeah? So let's just have a little bit more about High Five. They generally say their meeting efficiency has gone up by a factor of 3 using solutions focus. They've applied it to lots of things. And take a look at this. Turnover growth for about 10 years was 3.4%. Start of solutions-focused training, 50%. That's not bad, is it, organisational growth? I'm afraid I've got some bad news, though. They're slipping. In the last year, their organisational growth has only been 33%. So solutions focus doesn't mean focusing on solutions. What do we focus on? Not the problem, you know that. So we focus on these things. We focus on the outcome, what's wanted. We focus on resources, what's there, what's there which could contribute to progress. We focus on action. We focus on what could help that progress to continue. Fortunately, these letters are pronounceable. If you want to remember them, there's an acronym, ORA. Aura. Trips off the tongue, doesn't it? I could stop there, but I thought, well, actually, let's just do a quick check. So this was inspired by Paul and Mark's Oscar model. But let's check the different models that at least I'm familiar with within solutions focus. So if we talk about the 6 solution tools, if we talk about Paul and Mark's Albert model, we've got outcome, what's wanted. We've got resources. We've got action. Yeah, so it fits with that. If we look at Brief's solution gallery model, we've got what's wanted, we've got resources, we've got action. If we look at, and forgive the old slide, but if we look at Peter Jarbo's models, we've got a coaching agreement and a preferred future. So again, we've got outcome, what's wanted. We've got forerunners, so resources. Progress clues, which is a really nice sort of slide. It sort of includes things which might be resources sliding into the future and action, and then a conclusion. So that's how I fit them all together. So, just to wrap up, solutions focus doesn't mean focusing on solutions. It means focusing on outcomes, resources, and action. I will just say, though, that this talk has been very thoroughly using Occam's razor, perhaps too thoroughly, because there are, of course, lots of other perspectives on how we might look at how we do solutions focus. So I hope this has been controversial enough to stimulate lots of other thinking, not to be reductionist to this, but to think of this as a container, a framework to stimulate more thinking. What fits within this and what doesn't? Thank you.